Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of Metra AV Tech Tips Solutions. I am your host, Adam. And so today, actually last Wednesday we talked about bandwidth for HDMI and why it's important to understand how it works. And so what I wanted to talk about today was a product of ours that we have become known in the industry for, and that's our gigabit accelerator. So today specifically, we're going to be talking about the HDM-GA2. Nice, it popped up just in time. So we're going to talk about that, what it does, how it works, at least a nice overview for it, where you should use it, and then also make sure you reach out to your sales rep or your distributor to find out availability and pricing so that you can put it into your job in case you're running into some problems. So without further ado, I'm going to hit the button and we're going to do a top-down shot so you can see what's going on with that. All right, so this is the GA2. I've already got it out of the box for this time around because there's not a whole lot with the box, but I do want to talk about what it has here on itself for the connections. So here's the top of it. We have our input here on this side with the power USB USB micro power connection there on that part. On the other side, we have the HDMI out. Pretty straightforward. It is self-powered on its own. It's got of course, for HDMI, it's got an HDMI in and HDMI out. So it's not like the Junior where it has a female HDMI and then a male HDMI on the other side. This is in line, so you do have to have an HDMI cable plugged in on both sides. So you'll put this for that type of connection. Now you'll notice here on the top of it, we have a couple things going on, little switches here. These are the equalization levels, and also we have our input thresholds here. So these control how much gain you have going out of this, going into this, and then also the equalization going out to the display. And so if you find that certain sources are a little too hot, you can gain that down a little bit through the input threshold. And if the EQ going to the TV needs to be altered because it may not be working correctly, you have the equalization levels there for it as well. You do have some LEDs here on this piece to tell you more about the signal that's going on. Of course, power is telling you that this device is powered on. D0, D1, D2, and D3, those tell you the TMDS lines inside of the HDMI cable, or if it's HDMI 2.1, tells you the FRL connections there. Whether or not they're getting signal or not, or whether or not there's a connection. So the GA2, what it's capable of course, is it can expand 24 gigabits capability on an HDMI, on a passive HDMI cable. That's what's really important about this, is that it does have to be used with a passive HDMI cable. So any of the active cables, this will not work on. So make sure you're using passive in your installations if you think you need to use the GA2. So it will extend it'll bring your cables up to 24 gigs, up to 15.5 meters. That's depending on the quality of the cable. If it's a super low quality cable, there's not a whole lot that can be done with those. So make sure you're using decent quality HDMI cables. Of course, we recommend ours, either through our Ethereal line, our Velox line, or even into our Helios lines, or even our install bay lines. But it has to be a good quality cable, and it can bring up 24 gigabits per second up to 15.5 meters. It can also do 48 gigabit capability up to 9 meters. And again, that's depending on the quality of the cable that's there. It does support eARC, so if you have if you have eARC audio coming back from the display going to like an AVR of some kind, this will pass it through correctly. It does have a greater than 30 dB gain on the high-speed video channels, so that's where your equalization level comes in. This also has the Junior built into it, so there are HDM-GA2 that does EDID regeneration on it. That's actually built into this as well. And it has full output limiting to prevent input saturation of the display. What that's going to do is that's going to be your input threshold here. So if you find, again, like you have a source that's going to be too hot, you can actually gain that down just a little bit if you need to. From there, it is, where do we go? It does support all HDMI 2.0 and all HDMI 2.1 specifications that are currently available now. And it does include the power supply and power cord for this as well. So in your installations, it's actually, we'll show you a little diagram here of where you should do those there. I just printed it on a piece of paper, pretty straightforward. You got your 4K source going through a passive HDMI cable. You want to put the GA2 over by the display. And you want to have up to a 1/2 meter HDMI cable going from the GA2 to your display. So you really want to have that right there at the display. And again, you want to have external power. Do not use the built-in power or USB that's plugged into the TV or that's available at the display. Use a dedicated power supply for that. And like I said before, it actually comes with a power supply to plug in there as well. As always, if you have questions about our products or anything else like that, feel free to reach out to us directly, either on our tech support line or you can reach out to our sales staff. Again, our tech support line is right here, 386-492-8584, or you can reach out to me directly. My name is Adam. You can reach me at adam.rogers@metraav.com with any other questions about that. Reach out to your sales rep, reach out to your distributor to find out availability and pricing, and check out the GA2. It's a great piece to have as a just in case if you have an older HDMI cable that's already run in the wall that you want to bring up to, say, maybe a 2.1 specification. That's where the GA2 is really going to come into play. It also works with 4K with 18 gigabits, so if you have an even older HDMI cable and you want to bring that up to an 18 gig capability for HDMI 2.0, the GA2 is going to be a perfect fit for that as well. As always, I'm Adam. If you have any other questions, feel free to reach out and we'll answer those as well. Thanks, everyone.